of my action figures are cherry. Stephen Hawking's in
Hey,
my
welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. Linda Stevens is here, and we've been continue our discussion here. Still to come this hour, we're going to chat with Aaron Irving at Oakley and Irving Wealth Management, and he will try to tell a joke. We were told no clown jokes anymore.
He will try to tell a joke? Does this mean he's not very good at it?
Oh, he's excellent. I'm the one that is bad.
Okay.
But we got on a clown joke theme based on our president. And then I was told by several people, stop with the clown jokes. No more clown jokes.
Okay.
So we're moving on to different topics. And then Sela's going to be here from the Eddie Artesia Republican Party headquarters.
Oh, wonderful.
And we have an election coming up 1 month from tomorrow.
Yes.
And there's a number of things that will be on the ballot. And so they're going to share some information for voters to consider a little bit later on this hour.
Well, good. Good.
So
it's too bad there's not something on there where you could, have a do-over for president. I think there's some buyer's remorse out there.
Apparently there is.
You don't hear people going around saying, oh, he's so wonderful. I'm so glad I voted for him. I haven't heard that one time yet. Not once.
Not once. Apparently there is a lot of buyer's remorse. And
those people maybe have crawled in a hole and you just don't hear about them anymore.
I don't know. There was so much. It's the last few election cycles have been weird. Obama's done. So it's.
Does he know that?
So it's either Hillary or Trump. And this was in 2016. Mm-hmm. And people knew about Hillary and had a deep loathing and hatred for Hillary Clinton.
Did you see now they want her to apologize?
But they're the Clintons. They're never going to apologize. They're never going to be held accountable for anything they've done. So I don't even know why people even think about it or worry about it
I was
anymore.
reading a great article, that said, she made all that crap up about him colluding with Russia and all that. Oh, yeah. And they really think, she should apologize to the world for being the...
Yeah. She's not going to do that.
No.
She's not even going to admit to it. And somebody else that was wrapped up in that a little bit, not that they were involved in the gathering of the information, but they were involved in the disseminating of the information, was John McCain.
Yeah.
And so if you wonder why Trump disliked John McCain so much, well, there's part of it right there.
Exactly.
But, Trump said mean things about John McCain, and the Bushes all went to the funeral, and we had it like a state funeral, like John McCain was like some kind of king or something like that.
Yes.
He was a well-respected, long-serving senator.
Right.
And should have been treated accordingly and not like some kind of deity or royalty or something like that.
Well, it was because he was the POW.
Well, that was part of it, yes. But anyway, people that looked at what Trump said about McCain think, oh, Trump's mean and horrible to McCain.
Right.
But they forget about what McCain did to Trump.
Exactly.
When Trump had his health care bill, his replacement bill for Obamacare, who was the one senator that killed it?
Yeah.
It was John McCain.
Right.
And did he kill it because he was against the bill, because it was a bad bill, because it was a horrible bill, because it would have been done bad things?
Of course not.
No, he killed it because Trump was for it.
Yes.
So anyway, you look back at that. Well, we had to get rid of Trump. Mean tweets and the Orange Man bad and all this other kind of stuff. We have to get rid of Trump.
The only problem was that he wasn't a politician, so he told it like it was. He didn't, glaze over it and be overly political correct and speak in a language that nobody understands what you're really saying to get stuff through or to convince you that you really want this, even though this is the worst thing you could possibly ever have for this country.
Yeah.
And he just flat told it in plain English so you'd understand it.
Yeah, and most people did.
Yes.
And
that just irritated the ever-loving out of these long-term rich politicians that are setting up there.
Yeah.
And the question is, okay, we've got Harold.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and all the time ahead of time, you get cards. I was going to save all the political cards and flyers and stuff that I got in the mail for this last election. Because some of them were very negative, and how she disliked Trump and, just basically threw up in her mouth about it. And that's what one of them said.
That wasn't Harold.
Yeah, it was.
That was Chase.
No. I should have kept it. And then she gets elected. Oh, yes, I'm going to work with him. He's just wonderful, blah, blah, blah. Either you are or you aren't.
Yeah, I think that
And
was
then
Chase.
all of these people get up there and drink the Kool-Aid,
Mm-hmm.
and they cannot and will not do what they say that they're going to make it. I realize one person can't do, because you have to have everybody else's vote. Even the president can't do it if they don't have Congress behind him.
Right.
Unless he just gets out his wonderful magic pen and starts signing all these things.
Which is what Biden did.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be some sort of intelligence up there that realizes what they're doing is wrong for this country.
Yeah, no,
You
they
know,
have their agenda. The military industrial complex, and I know that was like a negative thing back in the 60s and everything, but the fact of the matter is the deep state is in cahoots with the military industrial complex, and that's why we were in Afghanistan for 20 some odd years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether it was Trump that was going to get us out or Biden that got us out, Biden got us out really
Wrong.
screwily.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody
so
disagreed with
wrong.
us getting out, but the way that he did is what's really hurting Biden. But there's a lot of people there that didn't like Trump because Trump didn't want us to be in these never-ending wars or in these never-ending hotspots.
Yeah, but
And,
you know,
And they fought him for that, and they
but
went
for
against
the good
him.
we did by just being there. We didn't have to be fighting, just being there. You know, you don't have to have a mean dog.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have one that's intimidating.
Yeah.
And we have always been the most powerful nation in the country or the
Yeah.
world. And that intimidation is right there. And if that kept the bad guys out of there, that's all
but
that
we
was
don't
needed.
have that now.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And
We
it's
should have just
exemplified.
left
Yeah.
a small group over there with all their power and, saying, you're not going to come in here and ruin these people's lives like it was and now is again, because it's totally
Yeah.
ruined.
I know.
No
I know.
education for women. And if you do anything wrong, they'll just kill you rather to look at you.
Yeah.
So how is that a benefit
Well,
to
then
that
you
poor
have
country?
the veterans who served in
Yes,
Afghanistan.
and they feel like they wasted their time.
Yeah, so no, you feel bad, but we got rid of Trump, because of the mean tweets and the awful things that he said about people, and it's just, and that's what's frustrating. And look, I can see where somebody changes their mind. You had 17 people running for the Republican nomination for president back
Yeah,
in 2016, and
You gotta
on
narrow it
most
down.
on most establishment or traditional Republican lists, Trump was not at the top of the list. They had their other people, but
Sure.
but the people got behind Trump, and so I could see where people initially, I don't like the guy, don't want the guy, he disgusts me, but then he gets elected and then he starts doing what he says that he was going to do, and you don't judge him on his words, you judge him on his actions.
Exactly.
And I could see people changing their minds and saying, yeah, I thought I was thoroughly disgusted by him back then, but I've seen how he's governed, and I'm good with the guy.
He is for the country. He is for the people.
So I could see
Yeah.
people changing their opinions and their minds. That's fine. I don't have any problem with
I
people
just
that
held
do
my head in the sand,
Yeah.
saying, "Oh God, please shut up! Don't put your phone down. Don't say another word. Where is your direct line? Let me call you and tell you, would you please don't tweet."
Well, but see, that's
Just
another opinion
shut
that people have,
up.
and so a lot of people had that opinion, and didn't really know much about Biden, and so they said, and then this is what I was saying. People knew about Hillary, hated her guts. Let's give Trump a try. Trump governs for 4 years. Does a lot of good things for the
Yes,
economy and for the border
yes.
and our relations with other countries. But people didn't like the attitude. They didn't like the mean tweets. They didn't, they felt sorry for the media. Don't
Well,
feel sorry for the media. The media has no reason. You don't have no reason to feel sorry
his
for the
mouth,
media.
it
so
always didn't come out correct.
Yeah.
But
But they didn't know that much about Biden, even though anybody
he's
that's
been in
followed
there
politics.
for how many 100 years?
But anybody that's followed politics knows what an idiot Joe Biden is.
Yeah.
But that wasn't widely exposed and disseminated. The guy campaigned from his basement.
They should have
During
figured
the
it
whole
out
thing.
when he opened his mouth and couldn't make a coherent
But
sentence.
they hated Trump.
Yeah.
So we're going to look over all of this other stuff because we've got to get rid of Trump. And I guarantee when the polling people were doing their polling and they looked at the Democratic candidate list. That's why they all coalesced around Biden, because Biden had less negatives
Yeah.
than all the other candidates that were running at the time. And so the word went out, everybody dropped out, Joe got the nomination, and then somehow, if you believe all the everything, he won the election.
I don't think there'll ever be an honest election again.
And see, that's
Ever.
sad. That's sad that
Yeah.
we're at that point, and you're not alone in thinking
No, but
that.
I don't think it's ever going to be. If they just mail out ballots like they did before, no. If you the only way you should get one is if you request an absentee ballot. That's the only way.
Sure.
Otherwise, you get up off your butt and go down to the polling place and cast your vote.
Yeah. Well,
That's
they just did it in
only way.
California in the recall election. They just mailed out ballots to everybody.
Yeah, and how many people have lived in unless you built a brand new house and you're the only person that's ever lived there, how many people have lived there before that the addresses and names are still? I get a Costco flyer for Ben Casas or somebody. I have no, and I've been trying to get off Costco's list because he doesn't live in my house, and I don't know if he ever did.
Yeah.
Which is irrelevant. But I get mail every once in a while for the deceased doctor that owned it.
Yeah.
Rarely. But so how many people get ballots with umpteen names on? Hey, this is a cool idea. I'll just send them all in.
Yeah.
Well, here's 1 to 6 or 7 that have nothing to do with you that are illegal.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff that goes on, and it just now maybe in some of the Republican states they've passed some election reforms to try to address some of those concerns. Maricopa County in Arizona just finished their recount of the recount of the recount of the recount.
Yeah.
And they didn't find any major instances that would have turned the election.
If anybody's got extra ballots squirreled somewhere or pulled them, you think they're going to be found?
But
they're going to be found in a ditch somewhere years from now.
Sure, but we've always talked about and joked about, the dead voting in Chicago
Right,
and all this other
sure.
kind of stuff. But when you have such, both sides are so polarized now that people never, for 4 years, we were not to accept Trump winning. Then Trump loses, and now we're required to accept Biden winning.
Yeah.
Well, if it was okay to question whether or not Trump won 4 years ago, why is it not okay to question whether or not Biden won?
Exactly.
You can't have it
What's good for the
both
goose
ways.
is good for the gander.
Yeah.
Type thing.
But unfortunately, because of that, there's a lot of people that, like you just said, that are really question whether or not we can have an honest to goodness
Well,
election.
you
in the
should be
future.
a citizen, a legal citizen of this country to be able to vote.
I agree.
Just because you come across the border illegally, unvaccinated, bringing God knows what, and yet we have to wear a mask or, show a vaccination card.
Right.
There's something wrong.
Or lose
with
our
this.
job if we're not
Yes,
vaccinated.
there's something wrong with this system.
But you can just walk across the border from...
Yeah, and be handed monies and cell phones and,
Yeah.
places to live and free medical and on and on and
put on
on.
buses, on planes, shipped all over the country,
This is so wrong.
and you don't. And the one that irritates the crud out of me is that, and this wasn't. I mean, it's COVID now, but there's other diseases that are in these countries.
you don't know what they're bringing.
Why are we not quarantining every single person that's on the border and saying, until we do a full, complete health checkup, workup to see what you got,
Yeah,
we ain't letting you in the country?
right.
But no, we're just putting them on buses and trucking. But if you work for an airline, if you work for a major company, if you work for a company that's got over 100 employees, if you work for a healthcare system or whatever, you work for Disney, ESPN, you work for any of these companies, if you're not vaccinated, you're
What
out of
about
here.
all these healthcare that are not going to, that are refusing to be vaccinated?
Yeah.
Lose their job? I think people need to rethink this.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are taking care of people in this hospital. When you don't have enough employees, this is a serious, serious problem, people.
Right. And that's where people see the hypocrisy.
Oh.
Is we're forcing our hospitals and our healthcare people to go through this whole machination over the vaccine mandate. But we ain't checking anybody that's coming across the border. And it's been over 1 million people that have come across the border in the last few months, and there's more and more caravans. These countries down south are just going to start emptying their populations with all the people they don't want to mess with, and just send them up to the United States, because you know what? Joe stood up there with his arms wide open. He's the new Statue of Liberty, and he, bring us everybody. Bring us your sick. And it's...
Where does he think they're going to put all these people? And
he doesn't care as long as they vote Democrat.
Yes.
We get their names so we can mail a ballot we can get their vote.
That's what I'm saying. That is so wrong.
Yeah.
Well, until people like you and I, complacent, calm Republicans, start getting up on their high horse and objecting and doing something.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to have protests against this, just like everybody else was protesting. If you can't be heard and you just go along, well, this will not happen. Yeah, they'll change it eventually.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's not getting changed. So
well, if you do,
somebody has got to say something.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the majority of people who are thinking that way, though.
Yeah,
no, I mean, there's a lot of people out here that are thinking, who loves this condition of everybody coming across the border?
Which goes back to your buyer's remorse. What did we hear a few years ago? We had way too much natural gas. There was no real market for natural gas. We had tons and tons of natural gas. They do natural gas coming out of the ground, don't really know what to do with it, got to flare it off, blah, blah, blah. Thanks to Joe Biden, you know what there's going to be a shortage of for heating?
Natural gas.
Yes. People living up there that have to have natural gas for heat are looking at double cost for natural gas. How did that happen?
No kidding.
I mean, it's insane, Linda. It's insane what we're doing to this country.
Well,
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
You're speechless.
Exactly. There are just no words. How did we end up in this condition?
Because we had to get rid of Orange Man Bad Trump.
Yeah.
And Biden was the guy, and so that's what we had to do. So.
Well, he destroyed this country quicker than anything. And yet we have how many, 3 years plus left of him?
2 years plus.
2 years?
2 years
okay.
plus, yeah. The midterms are next year. So.
All righty.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectation. The Democrats only have like a 5-seat majority in the House, and it's 50-50 in the Senate. And so there's a high expectation that the Republicans will take back both houses of Congress.
They better.
And then at that point in time, all Joe can do is executive orders, which when an executive order is signed, then Congress can get together and pass a law that either upholds or reverses the executive order. Because an executive order does not have it's not a law.
Right.
And so an executive order, unless you're Trump. Now, if Obama signs an executive order and Trump signs an executive order rescinding it, well, that can't happen. But if Trump signs an executive order and Biden signs an executive order rescinding it, they can't get the ink dried fast enough to get that passed through. And that's another thing that happened with these executive orders.
Yeah.
Because all presidents have signed them.
Yes.
Reagan, H.W., Clinton, all of them. I mean, not to the degree in the last couple of years. But Obama signs an executive order and Trump rescinds it, and the courts, the whole world comes down on Donald Trump.
Screeching halt,
how can you do that? Obama did this. Yeah, but Obama didn't go through Congress and have a law passed.
Right.
And so anyway, that's the only thing you can hope would happen is that these executive orders that have been signed, that if Congress changes hands and Republicans, the first thing they do is they start passing laws addressing the things that the executive orders attempt to do or not do or overturn or return.
Right.
And correct a lot of that stuff. If the Republicans take over, they got a lot of work to do.
Oh, my goodness,
to try to fix some of these things. And the border right now is the biggest crisis that we are seeing. Millions of people, and they're emptying the countries down south.
And if they weren't there, maybe our COVID would be down to a minuscule amount.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Because, if you keep having people, there's a very good chance they're bringing it. Mm-hmm. Well, they're contaminating everybody.
Yeah.
Spreading it.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what we do, it's still coming at us in
Yeah.
force.
And the biggest thing that really burns me up is that you work in the military, you got to get vaccinated. You work at the airlines, you got to get vaccinated. You know, I mean, all these vaccination mandates that these states and counties and federal governments and businesses have imposed. But we ain't checking a single soul for anything
Yeah.
unless they exhibit symptoms. You know, if the vaccines are going to save us and the vaccines what have to happen and everybody has to get vaccinated, then every stinking person coming across the border, the first thing you do is stick a thing in their arm and vaccinate them.
Yep.
And you know what? If they're going to get the second vaccine, they got to come back in 3 weeks. So where are they going to go? You can't put them in a plane and send them off to, Texas or
Timbuktu,
Florida or whatever.
Yeah.
So guess what? You probably got to hold them for a few weeks to see,
Yeah.
so that you can finish the vaccination series.
We do,
But no, we just get them through and get them out. Oh, and if you have a horse and you try to control the border, you're going to get fired, and the horses are going to be, it's anyway.
Yeah.
We are really pretty much here just out of time. Is there anything with the clean and beautiful that you want to talk about?
And we didn't solve one world problem.
No, but we identified them.
Yes, we did. If you would love to do a cleanup, I
Okay.
have some groups that have scheduled. In fact, they're coming to pick up stuff today, which is pretty great.
Good.
So if you would love to do a cleanup, challenge another business, this is wonderful. It's Toss No Mas time. There's a lot of, oh my goodness, there's still bar ditches and highway miles that need to be cleaned. The garbage is never ending.
That's right.
Just quit throwing it out your windows, people. Don't put it in the back of the pickup and make it think it's going to stay there, because let me tell you, a little breeze will suck it out quicker than anything.
That's exactly right.
Give me a call at 748-3192, and I will provide you bags and gloves and vests and grabbers and whatever else do you think you might want. If it's on a state highway department will pick up your bags. If you will let me know, I will let them know. If you have a pickup, a lot of people do, feel free to take them with you. This is not rocket science, but we desperately need your help. And we, being the community, you're not doing it for me. You're not doing it for, per se, Artesia Clean and Beautiful, the organization. You're doing it for your community to make it better, to invite tourists and people that want to relocate. We've got, over 1,000 people coming for a turnaround at Navajo?
That's
There's
right.
a lot of people from out of town that are seeing our community right now. Where they're all going to eat, I have no idea. Because restaurants still have problems having enough employees. Everybody's hiring.
Yeah.
Get up off your couch, go get a job, help them out.
That's right. So
do something.
What's the number to get a hold of you to get
748-3192. And don't forget, put October 30th on your calendar for a composting class.
Okay.
So
that's coming up.
big details to come.
All right, Linda, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I always enjoyed talking about the news of the day, and I don't know of too many people, at least that listen to this station, that disagree with us. So
That's true.
That's
and
true.
I have people that like listening to me fight with you or whatever we do.
whatever it is that we get rolling on.
Yes.
So, very good. All right, Linda, thank you so much. Enjoy your blueberry muffin from
Oh,
McDonald's.
I will. I'm, salivating as we speak.
All right, thanks a lot.